know right now you're doing a work called That Damned Band. Could you please tell us a little bit about that comic?
Well, This Damn Band is it's told to camera like a rock documentary or like The Office. And it deals with the biggest rock band of 1974, Mother Father, who are, they like to say in a very pretentious British way, we worship the devil. Only to discover, to their horror and surprise, that actually they worship the devil. It's a horror comedy like Ghostbusters. We all like to say The Exorcist meets Spinal Tap. And I really love circumstances where a group of people who are very good at one thing get blindsided by something that they do not know how to deal with. And it's especially delicious when they've been saying all along that they know absolutely how to deal with it.
I'm sensing a theme now, because exactly what happened in London Falling. Now, for the comic, now did you have a particular band that you had in mind when you're doing, or it looks like a combination of different bands?
Absolutely, it's a satire of all sorts of different bands put together. It's 70s rock music all in all. Your character designs contain so many different people.
I think I was very specific to make sure it wasn't one specific band, because I wanted people not focus on either I love that band or hate that band. So the love hate, it's more of a combination of the different character concepts, where it was that way allows all viewers to be able to really enjoy what the story is.
Now, on that note, is there any band from the 70s that you guys are really huge fans of?
Oh yeah, let's see. I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. Hit and miss on Zepp. It's one of those things where maybe I've just heard too much of some of it. But there's all. I mean, early Ozzy, early Lemmy. All these things are just absolutely wonderful.
New York Dolls and The Who. All of these guys are very much in the mix for this as well. I think our lead singer, who Tony's designed really well, is such a precise mix between Daltrey and Jagger and Robert Plant.
Yep.
We're dealing in archetypes, which is a lovely feeling.
I have to say, I took a look at the comic before I got here, and I don't know what it was, but the way you drew the jeans, low enough, I was like, he's got it, he knows it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I did, where I wanted that overt sexuality, where you got the belt buckle with the male symbol on there. The jeans are too tight. Yep. They're very snug, and he's very proud to show it. And it's also, you can tell he's compensating because he's got the lifted boots. But I was very conscious about looking at what like a lot of the rock stars, especially the frontmen of that era, had, where they're really pushing what sexuality they could show. So I was very conscious, and they all had abs, so like
that's true.
Show them off.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I briefly saw, I'm pretty excited about it, knowing your writing, and this is the first time I'm familiar with your work now, and it fits the whole style, and I'm already creeped out by page 2 for some reason. There's no reason for it, but I'm creeped out. Yeah. Who has been your major influence in your writing or in your artwork?
Oh, writing?
Major influence. My goodness, so many. In comics.
That's why I delayed.
In comics, I've always loved people like Grant Morrison. I love an awful lot of 70s comic writers, people like Steve Englehart, Steve Gerber especially. Gerber really is. If I could be a quarter of Gerber, I would be delighted.
For me, I'm all over the place. You know? There. I'm all artistic. I mean, everything like classically trained art, up through, J.H. Williams, J.G. Jones, Jack Kirby, Will Eisner. It's the whole gamut. And if you look at my bookshelf, I love Otomo, Hegre. There's so many artists out there. I'm that horrible guy. It's like all of them.
I should say, one of the things about this comic, what Tony's brought to it, it's told to camera as a rock documentary, so it's all meant to be on film. But certain sequences, like a drug trip in the first issue, obviously you can't film that with a camera, so the band have related that to an artist, a local artist who's drawn it, and in the case of the first issue, that's an artist from Japan, so Tony's drawn that in a manga style.
And that was my idea for some crazy idea. I've never drawn manga before. I love manga, but I've never drawn it before. And so it's like, but it fits perfectly organically with what we need for the story.
I haven't got to that.
Similarly, when we moved to France, in issues 3 and 4, he goes all Tintin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little Winsor McKay in there, but it's because it fits a story. It's very organic within it. It's not just, I want to draw like this. It's it's necessary to help really allow the reader to really absorb into the story.
And then, how did you guys partner up? Has it been a long time collaboration? Is it the first time you guys collaborated?
Well, actually, I pitched this to Dark Horse, and they presented me with a number of different artists, and I love the look of Tony's work.
So I was very lucky, because I love working on his scripts, where it's just so much fun, because it's not just the comedy with that, but he also has a great ability to really make you care about the characters as well, where you laugh, and then all of a sudden you get the sucker punch of a great emotional scene, where it's like some of my favorite pages of the book have been like these great emotional interactions between some of the characters that you wouldn't expect in a book like this.
Now, were you familiar with his work before you started doing the artwork?
Yes, I was. So I'm a bit of a Whovian, so therefore I was like, dude, I know that guy. Dude, this is awesome. So I'm like running around, like Muppet arms flailing around and all that. So it was, it was great.
No, I did feel the same way when you came to Brave New World. So yes. Now, this is the second thing I've known about you, that you're focused in the occult. Is there a reason why you keep focusing around the occult?
I just think it's interesting. There's something about the occult in the 70s that was in a different place in pop culture to where it is now. You can't imagine Marvel releasing a comic called Son of Satan now.
Yeah.
And it was so populist. Like Dennis Wheatley, who's a sort of 1920s pop boiler author, suddenly becomes really famous and bestsellering again. And this is even before The Exorcist was released. There's definitely something in the air in the 1970s about how it's suddenly fashionable to be into the occult, and that's very much part of the comic. Also, I mean, I don't, one doesn't actually believe in supernatural evil, but it's the big metaphor. It lets you really play with the life and death stuff.
And could you tell us your name and what you contribute to Dark Horse?
My name is Rod Espinosa, and I contribute 3 books, actually. I'm proud to say that. The original one is Courageous Princess. It's been around since the early 2000s. And then the next one was Alice in Wonderland. And the third one is A Christmas Carol with a female Scrooge.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I know that The Courageous Princess is your own creation.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that one?
Well, the Courageous Princess is it's a fairy tale based princess, and she's not the fairest in the land. Let's just put that out as a first thing. And of course, being not the fairest in the land, things happen differently for you when you go to balls. When the dragon kidnaps you, and nobody wants to rescue you, because you're not the fairest in the land. So she has to figure things out for herself, But luckily, her parents were resourceful people. They're kind of middle class. Their castle's kind of small,
Middle class.
Yeah,
kingdom.
right. Yeah, they are and then her father gets assigned the furthest kingdom of all, and then of course on the mother's side, he marries into a family of 3 sisters. The eldest is all that, she is the fairest in the land, so even the moms has a little inferiority complex, so it's fascinating. It's a great book.
I'm actually kind of surprised that if she's not the fairest, how did she even get kidnapped by the dragon?
Oh yeah, well at first it was in the first book, I don't know if I'm revealing too much, but no, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not revealing too much. Well, the thing is, in the first book, the dragon is notorious for kidnapping princesses and holding them for ransom, right? And I guess we can infer that he kind of messed up or something, right? By kidnapping the wrong princess, now he's not getting any money for it, right? And so, it's like nobody's coming around. It is one of the earliest female empowerment stories before all the kick-ass princesses started coming out.
You started it for the rest of them.
Right, yeah. So it was 1999.
That's pretty way back there.
Yeah, the sequel just came out. That's why I'm here.
What was the inspiration behind Courageous Princess? During that time, there wasn't really anything around for that one.
Yeah, well, I liked fairy tales. I like fairy tales a lot. I grew up reading, all the classics. So I always thought, whatever happened to the princesses that get rejected? When Cinderella shows up, yay, happily ever after. I always wanted to explore the story of what the other princesses that get rejected.
For the underdog.
Yeah, exactly.
So since you had to reread it, and of course, you've grown up, and you have a lot more experiences, did anything change in your thinking towards the Courageous Princess?
A lot. A lot, yeah. I've matured as a writer, and I'm kind of thankful to say this. At the same time, I put people through like 10 years of waiting, But behind that is 5 years of my making it. So it's really only 5 years, but now, 10 years because of between releases. So anyway, I've matured as a writer, and I know more now about stuff, And this is the decade when Pixar became big, and Pixar was a big influence on me too. And one of the things I learned in Pixar is Plan A never works. I'm like, Plan A should not work when I'm writing my stories. So I picked it up from there. So okay. Aside from that, writing more gave me more experience, and in between that, I wrote a lot of I drew a lot of American history books, which you'll find, a lot of online somewhere, Amazon. There's 40 some of them, Yeah, so you'll see Rod Espinosa do Ben Franklin and George Washington. So, not my usual fantasy, elves and, warriors hacking into each other, magic and princesses, and fantastic creatures. But now you'll see I actually had to draw a period costume. So I was like, oh, it's pretty interesting. And then I did Shakespeare, so they had more period costumes, But those are a lot of fun.
So you totally went off.
Yeah.
The normal realm, and then you went
Right,
back.
yeah. That became the quote-unquote day job for a while.
Okay.
So, it was because, you're a freelance, you just say, hey, I'll take that project, come on, give it to me while, you have to make the hay while the sun shines kind of thing.
And then the
Exactly.
characters in Courageous Princess, are they inspired by any real life people, your family or your friends?
A lot of them are inspired by archetypes that I've seen in other animations. I was talking a while ago outside with a fan about Nausicaa, and Nausicaa was one of the key influences in my life.